Hi, I'm Kate Ward, and this is your Dickman Farms decorator tip. And what we're talking about today are those wonderful things that you find in the center of a table. Haha, centerpieces. Now, a centerpiece can refer to anything that's not necessarily in the center, but generally we refer to a small arrangement that's in foam that keeps it hydrated in the house. And whether it's in a tree form or a horizontal form, those are all centerpieces used to adorn your table, your counter, your desk, all sorts of things. But what if you want to make a couple? Because of course we'll have them here at the garden center. Let us give you some tips on some of the supplies that you'll need and the how-tos so you can be successful. So off to my right here, we have a couple of things that you'll probably want to get. One, you're going to need your trimmers. Two, you're going to want something like this floral foam here that allows moisture absorption into the foam. This particular one is Oasis. Now this Oasis, what it does is once it's cut to the size you want, and here's an example, I have some pieces half done here. Once it's cut to the size that you want, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this floral foam and you're gonna throw it into a bucket of water, like I have one in here. And what you're gonna do, you can see there's a distinct color difference between the one, there we go, between the one on the counter, well there was, and the one in the bucket. Now, what we're going to do is we take that piece, we throw it in here, and we wait. Resist the urge to submerge and drown your Oasis. Let it just slowly go down. When you push it down, what tends to happen is, yes, it fills with water, but you miss the very core. That stays dry. And because ultimately we're going to stick these stems into this Oasis, what happens if the core is dry? Then there is no water there for these plants to take up and our greens dry out. So wait until it sinks before you use it. So that said, you'll need a bucket and some water. You'll need your Oasis. Make sure you don't accidentally get this foam, which is true foam, good for drieds, but not good for centerpieces. And you might consider something like this wilt proof. This you spray when you're done. It helps to seal the pores on those plants so that they don't dry out even more. All right, now that we have, and you need your greens. So you can choose any greens you like, whether it be brazier fir or firs, boxwoods, white pine, cedar, your choice. So grab your greens and let's go. So once you have your greens, you're gonna decide about how big do you want this thing to be. Do you want it to be vertical? Do you want it to be horizontal? Decide your shape. And then we're gonna make a bunch of cuttings to at least get us started, like I have this wonderful pile here. So once I have a nice pile to start with, I would typically start by making my shape and making the outline of that shape. So a good example is here. There is a general outline. It's longer here, shorter here, so then I just fill in the sides. And I would do the same on the bottom. So you can see I've done this, my right side here is all done, and it's nice and full, and it graduates out loosely and graduates back down. So it's by drawing that first outline and then finding the pieces, I can get a general idea of where I want to go. So once I have my outline done, then what I do is I take and I strip the needles from the bottom of these stems, because that's where I would want to go to keep working. What it allows me to do is it allows me to push these branches into that Oasis without creating a big, huge hole. Now, for example purposes, you can see this large hole here and then all these little small holes. This giant hole that actually takes away from the structural integrity of the Oasis is made by a branch that had not had its needles removed. And if I want to reposition it once, I keep making a mess of this Oasis, and eventually it can't hold any of those stems for me. So it's a wonderful thing to take off those pieces so that you have somewhere to go ahead and stick them in and keep the integrity of your Oasis. You can move from there, keep going on your decision, keep going on what you like to use. One thing you'll want to note, going up the sides is pretty easy. You're going to see the top of that branch every time. But when you get to the top of your piece, be sure to turn your pieces in every direction as you put them in, because if I were to face them all one direction, I would create this falling feeling. They would look backwards. But if I start to just turn them slightly, this one goes this way, and this one goes this way, and this one goes this way, you see that over time, we have no particular one going any direction. The only other hint I'll give you to start is think about, do I want something else in there? And we're gonna put that in before we do all of the greens addition. So sometimes you might want something like this holder here, which would be for a tall pillar candle. And it's amazing what you can make with the same square shapes. I hope that's been helpful. You know we'll have these here. We'd love to see you and help you. But until then, this has been your Dickman Farms Decorator Tip.